Probably the most important resource in Pokemon Go has got to be, without a doubt, Stardust. Now, in case you didn't know, there are several Pokemon that actually gives you a lot of bonus Stardust when you catch it. In this video, I'm going to be going over each and every single Pokemon that currently gives you extra Stardust. Alright, let's get right into it. Hey, how's it going everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokemon Go video. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about bonus Stardust Pokemon. These are Pokemon that when you catch them, they will give you extra Stardust. And this is not necessarily including Pokemon that are pre-evolved. In fact, a bunch of these Pokemon will give you a lot more Stardust than even pre-evolved Pokemon. And that is something you do need to keep in mind, especially if you're trying to get your Stardust count up so that you can excel in the Go Battle League as well as with raid battles. Because Stardust is essentially how you progress in Pokemon Go. The more Stardust that you have, the better you're going to do in raids and PvP. Alright, so with that said, let's first talk about the Pokemon that give you 500 Stardust when you catch it. These Pokemon include Paris, Shroomish, Meowth, Fungus, Morlul, and Delibird. All these Pokemon give you a base catch amount of 500 Stardust, and if you have a star piece, it's going to be up to 625. And if it is weather boosted, it's going to give you up to 625. And if it's weather boosted, it'll be 750. And if it's both weather boosted and you have a star piece going, you're going to get yourself 937 Stardust. Alright, next, let's move on to the Pokemon that give you 700 Stardust, and these are mostly the evolved forms of the previously mentioned Pokemon. The Pokemon that's going to give you 700 Stardust include Parasect, Persian, Breloom, Amoonguss, and Shiinotic. Just like with 500 Stardust Pokemon, they're going to give you a whole lot more Stardust if you have a star piece or if they are weather boosted. So make sure you look out for those bonuses so that you can get that extra Stardust. Alright, now the following Pokemon actually give you 750 Stardust when you catch them. These include Combee, Alolan Meowth, Trubbish, Staryu, and Sableye. All these Pokemon give you 750 Stardust as a base. And of course, with a weather boost and star pieces, you're going to get a whole lot more. And then for most of these, if you find their evolved forms, they're going to give you 950 Stardust. These include Vespiquen, Alolan Persian, Garbodor, and Starmie. And then finally, let's talk about the 4 Pokemon that's going to give you at least 1000 Stardust, and some that will give you even a whole lot more. 2 Pokemon that's going to give you 1000 Stardust when you catch them is going to be Shellder and Chimecho. And then if you catch Cloyster, which is the evolved form of Shellder, you're going to get yourself 1200. And then finally, Audino is going to net you a whopping 2100 Stardust per catch. That is the one that you absolutely need to catch, because one Audino is equivalent to catching 21 Pokemon. Just think about that. Obviously, you're going to get even more Stardust if you have a weather boost active as well as a star piece. So if you happen to run into an Audino and it's weather boosted, I would suggest putting on a star piece just to catch that one Pokemon, and then try to catch as many Pokemon around it so that you can fully utilize that star piece. It's an insane amount of Stardust that you can get off of one Pokemon, so you should absolutely make sure you catch every single one that you see. So yeah, overall, these are some of the most essential Pokemon that you always need to catch. Even if you do not actually need any of these Pokemon for whatever reason, you should still always try to catch them just specifically for the Stardust. Of course, some of them have an extremely low catch rate, but if you utilize your Ultra Balls and Great Balls, you should be able to get them every single time and net yourself a ton of Stardust. Another thing you should do while you're playing Pokemon Go is utilize an auto catcher, specifically the Pokemon Go Plus Plus, because there's a bunch of these Pokemon that will be out in the wild and you may not even be aware of it, but having a Pokemon Go Plus Plus will ensure that you will not miss out on most of them. Seriously, having an auto catcher active is some of the best ways to get Stardust, and it's specifically because they will be catching all of these Pokemon in the wild while you are just completely unaware of it. That's going to be essential if you want the most Stardust on your account, especially if you want to get ahead in the Go Battle League as well as with raid battles. Another tip is of course stacking up research task rewards with these Pokemon, and then whenever there is an event that gives you bonus Stardust like a Spotlight Hour or a Community Day, then you would collect collect on all of these research rewards in order to get the most Stardust. Take a look at this graphic that will tell you what Pokemon you can get from what research tasks. These are the ones that you will want to go after, and if you ever come across any of these field research tasks, you absolutely need to complete them, and make sure you stack those rewards so that you can get extra Stardust. And a special shout out to G47IX for providing this graphic, as well as inspiring this video to begin with. Like, there are a couple of tasks that will award you with Staryu and Sableye and Trubbish, and if you happen to run into those, make sure you complete those field research tasks, and then instead of catching that Pokemon, you run away from the reward encounter so that you can stack them up. And then once there is that event that gives you bonus Stardust, then you need to catch them as fast as you can. That's probably one of the best ways to get a ton of Stardust within a short period of time. So if that is something that you desperately need to do, then that is a great avenue for you to get a whole bunch of Stardust. Realize that every single one of these Pokemon are pretty much everywhere. On top of field research tasks, they are of course going to be appearing in the wild, but you could also get them as PvP rewards as well. Just keep an eye out for every single one of these Pokemon, memorize which ones are going to give you extra Stardust, and make sure you catch them every time you see them. Yeah, overall, Stardust is so important, and you really want to make sure you're catching every single Pokemon you see. Even if you're not seeing these Pokemon, I still suggest you catch whatever you can, because every Stardust that you get is going to contribute to something, and it's going to make you a much better player. And that is really important, because if you are able to do more raids because you have more powerful Pokemon, you're going to get yourself even more powerful Pokemon, and then in turn you're going to continue to need Stardust. So yeah, you need a constant stream of Stardust on your account, and the best way for you to do that is of course by catching every single Pokemon. And yeah, make sure you do not miss out on these specifically. But that's going to be it for this video. I really hope you found this video to be helpful. If you were unaware of any of these Pokemon giving you bonus Stardust, make sure you mention it in the comments section down below. And if there is a particular Pokemon that you see quite often, also talk about that as well so that we can have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it to this point in the video. If you ended up enjoying it and found it to be informative, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to all the patrons on my Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, then make sure you go and check out the links in the description below. For all my patrons, they get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way within Pokemon Go, like with remote raids or the friendship system, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. Also, if you want to support my channel without spending any money, you can do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula, and I'm on the following platforms. Alright, and that's going to be it. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.